see your arms, so you keep them a little bit further back. Does that make sense?
One more minute.
Okay, I got it.
After you love to plan it over one by one,
Hello, if you've been missing live sport over the spring and the start of the summer, then sit back, relax and enjoy. You have come to the right place because once again, World Athletics has gathered 3 of the finest pole vaulters on the planet, each of them going toe-to-toe from 3 different locations on 2 continents for one unique title. This is the 2nd edition of the Ultimate Garden Clash, and we cannot wait for the drama to unfold over the next hour and a half or so. If you were watching 2 weeks ago, you'll have seen the men going toe-to-toe. We had an incredibly tight tussle. It ended up being a draw between world record holder Mondo Duplantis and the 2012 Olympic champion Renaud Lavillenie, who was the man who came up with the idea in the first place. And Renaud has sent this message of good luck to the 3 world-class women waiting poised and ready in the wings, ready to entertain us all once again.
Hey, I'm so happy to see the women jumping for the ultimate garden clash. I have no idea how high they can go, how far they can go, but probably shows that they're going to be dead, no doubt on it. So good luck, girls, have fun, and hope to see you later for maybe another ultimate clash garden.
That is the most outrageous collection of trainers and spikes I've ever seen. But I guess if you're an Olympic champion, a multiple world indoor champion, and a former world record holder, you're allowed a few free pairs. Now, from one Olympic champion to another, I promised you we had gathered 3 of the very best. And I think in terms of our first athlete's resume, she is arguably the greatest Greek athlete in history. The reigning Olympic champion, the reigning European champion, world champion in London in 2017, none other than Kat Stefanidi.
Hi, I'm Katerina Stefanidi, Olympic and European reigning champion, and this is my backyard. Okay, it's not my backyard, it's actually somebody else's backyard, but this is actually my athletics home. This is where I grew up and where I learned to be a pole vaulter. This is where I'll be doing the ultimate garden class. Our bar will be at 4 meters. It was at 5 meters for the guys, so it will be relatively higher for the girls. The guys had 98 makes together, and I think the girls are going to beat them.
Kat, a very good afternoon to you. I hear the temperature is gorgeous in Athens. You look poised and ready. You were one of the first athletes to send us a tweet after watching the men 2 weeks ago. You're up for this.
Yes, well, I will say gorgeous is slightly misleading. It was a high of 39 today, so it's nice for the beach. I don't know about this, but luckily we're in shade, we're in a great place, and I'm very excited to do this.
Well, we can't wait to see you in action, and the start is just a few moments away. So we've met the first of our triumvirate of excellence. Now to our second, from the reigning Olympic and European champion across the pond to the slightly cooler climes of Canada and the reigning Commonwealth champion, Alysha Newman.
Oh, funny seeing you there. I'm Alysha Newman, Canadian Olympic pole vaulter, and this is my garden in Caledon, Ontario. My personal best is 4.82. I'm the reigning Commonwealth Games champ and currently ranked 4th in the world. Tune in where pole vault action is going down. See you there.
Well, a very good morning to you, Alysha. We gather it is a little colder in Canada, but you look like you are raring to go.
You know, athletes, we're always ready to go for any condition. It's a little chilly though. That's okay.
And how many successful clearances at 4 meters do you think we're going to need to take the win? It was 36 2 weeks ago for Renaud and Mondo.
Sorry, I didn't hear you guys on that one.
Oh, you're back. Well, we do have a few technical issues, but there you go. We have got 2 different continents and 3 athletes, so we can expect a few gremlins. Alysha, I was just asking you, how many successful vaults do you think it's going to require to take the win? Because Renault and Mondo tied on 36 a fortnight ago.
Yeah, I think we're going to try and push that. I mean, the girls talked the other day, and we want to do 33 each minimum to beat the guys. But after that, it's who's going to be 1, 2, and 3. So I would say it's going to take about 37, 36-ish, about the same. And then we'll go from there.
Oh, it's punchy talk. The trash talk has begun already. And completing our lineup this afternoon, a little further south on the American continent, poised and ready for action, the reigning US indoor champion and Pan American Games silver medalist, Katerina Nageotte.
Hey guys, I'm Katerina Nageotte. 2-time US champion, Nageotte champion, 2019 World Champs finalist, Pan Am silver medalist. I'm so excited to be able to compete in the first official women's garden clash. I know the guys did a really phenomenal job. I'd like to think we can give them a run for their money. So be sure to tune in, check it out, see if we can beat the boys.
Hello, Katie. You look as though you are, well, poised and ready like everybody else. We know that you can vault brilliantly. Your PB is 482, so 4 meters is pretty straightforward. But how physical do you think this is going to be? Because I guess this is a pole vaulter's equivalent of a bleep test.
Yes, I would say this is like a marathon for a pole vaulter. I feel like my game plan is as close to a distance runner as I could possibly get right now. It's about pacing myself, and endurance admittedly has never been my forte, but I know I'm ready and I'm excited, and I'm excited to see how much I can push myself to just keep chopping when I'm tired.
Well, it really is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. We'll hear more from our 3 contenders in just a moment. Now, the reaction 2 weeks ago to the first edition of the Ultimate Garden Clash was incredible. We had 250,000 people watching live. Within 24 hours, that figure had risen to 1 million, and we had viewers in 90 countries. One man who absolutely loved every single second of it is also someone who knows how to cope with pressure. A multiple world record holder, a double Olympic champion, and he just happens to be the president of World Athletics, Seb Coe.
Renault, Mondo, Sam, you set the challenge in the first of our ultimate clashes. It wasn't long, actually. I think it was only a matter of minutes before all you ultra-competitive athletes wanted to join in. Well, you have. Kat, Katie, Alysha, thanks for taking up the challenge. You know what the target is. Let's go and get it.
Well, I know Seb will be watching, and if you're just joining us, this is the view that we're going to be enjoying for the next hour and 10 minutes or so. So we have Kat Stefanidi top right, we have Katerina Nageotte bottom right, and Alysha Newman will be in shot somewhere in Canada by the time the vaulting begins. Kat, let's go back to... Oh, there she is. She's back. Kat, let's go to you first of all. Have you practiced specifically for multiple clearances at 4 meters? Because, you know, for the 6th best vaulter in history and the reigning Olympic champion, 4 meters for a one-off is a doddle, but perhaps not quite so when you're being asked to clear it 30 or 35 times.
Yeah, so after the guys jumped a few weeks ago, I had to try a version of this. I went for 10 and 10 minutes because I had already spoke to Renault, and he had said he was very sore the next day, and I didn't want to get too sore where if this happened I was still sore from it. So I tried a version of it a few different times in a few different ways, and I have to admit that I have meticulously studied the boys competition as well.
Well, I'm sure you have, and you will be aware of how tight it was between Renault and Mondo. Sam Kendricks was a few back because he was taking about 14 strides when he was going down the runway, whereas I think Renault was about 10 and Mondo was 8. So how many steps can we expect to see from you, Kat, over the next half hour or so?
Renault was actually going from 6 steps, which by itself is very impressive. I will be going from 8 steps. And there is a possibility maybe in the second half to maybe move to 10, depending on how much I can breathe. I have a resting heart rate of 85, so this is really a challenge for me.
5 out in the second half. I'm not.
Okay, well, the very best of luck to you. Katie, were you immediately sold on this challenge when it was first put to you that you might join these other two world-class vaulters and have a go live online from your own home track?
Yes. I said yes, and then I was like, oh wait, this is gonna be a workout. But I did do some training for it, just getting some volume. I wasn't going quite as quickly, but I was definitely getting some volume, just repping it out at this height. I'll be going from 8 steps as well. So yeah, it's exciting.
It certainly is. Now, Alysha, you are still there in Canada.
Yes.
I've had a look on a well-known statistician's website, and it says here, I hope this is correct, that your first official 4-meter clearance was on the 19th of May in 2012 in Brookville. Can you even remember that far back?
Actually, yeah, I do, because it was a big, it was an interscholastic record of the high school women athlete, and I was the first high schooler to jump over 4 meters. So it was a big step in my career. So it does seem far away, but doing it for 30 minutes straight, woo, I'm excited to challenge myself today on that.
And one of the great images, I think, last year leading into the World Championships was when you won the Paris Diamond League. I think you had about half a dozen Canadian national records last year. You went absolutely wild in France. So you're certainly an athlete who wears your heart on your sleeve when it goes right. Can we expect to see that kind of emotion from you today?
Yeah, we always joke about it. I'm not a big practicer person. I'm a game horse day person. So every time I step on the field and I'm competing against the girls, they bring the best out in me. So I'm here to give it my all today and try to be alive tomorrow morning.
And Kat, I guess you've all been competing at the highest level for a long time. You in particular won the World Youth title, I think, in 2005. You first cleared 4 meters the year before in 2004. How strange has it been to have no competition for the last few months?
You know, I will say that luckily my first competition was actually, I think, 3 days from now. So it's just starting to affect us, you know. I think we will be starting to get into a certain competition shape, whereas now we're looking into the end of August and it's very different. But I wouldn't have had any competition so far anyway, so it hasn't affected us in terms of that. I think it's more just changing a little bit our planning for the year.
Yeah, well, certainly there have been many changed plans. Okay, thanks very much to the three of you. You are now clear to go through your final preparations for the first half, which will be 15 minutes. Now, aficionados of pole vault may well have been hoping and expecting to see a certain Sandy Morris, Olympic silver medalist, world champion silver medalist, and also the second best vaulter in history, world indoor champion. She has been there at the top for such a long time. She's unable to compete today, and she sends this message to clarify why.
Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you are enjoying the Ultimate Garden Clash Women's Edition. I know that Kat, Katie, and Alysha are going to be putting on a show for you, so you better buckle up. I bet some of you are wondering why on earth I'm not competing today, since Dad and I just built an awesome pole vault pit in my neighborhood. And to be completely honest with you, I've been dealing with a little bit of a nagging knee problem in my jump leg since indoor season, and it's just not going away. Don't worry, it's really minor. So my physio and I have decided that these next few weeks, I really need to focus on my rehab and my physical therapy. While I'm super bummed that I can't jump today, I know that Kat, Katie, and Alysha are gonna put on a show. It's gonna be awesome. I'll be watching, ladies. Good luck.
So that's the message from Sandy, and we really hope we get to see her in the second half of the season. She will hopefully be watching. Now, we do want this to be as interactive and fun as possible. Just checking my iPad here. Mondo Duplantis, who tied for the win 2 weeks ago, the world record holder, he was in sensational form in February. He's tweeting about the stream. The boys are watching. Moreno says, I can't wait to see their faces in 30 minutes' time. This is going to be pole vault lactic acid. So they have been warned. And just a clarification on the rules, because it is a completely different type of competition. It's as many successful clearances over 4 meters in 2 blocks of 15 minutes with a very strict 5-minute interval in between, where we'll hopefully get a word or two from the girls. The magic number as far as the overall victory is concerned, because Kat has said the women definitely want to beat the men. The tally from the men was 36 from Renault, 36 from Mondo, and 26 from Sam Kendricks. So it was 98. And Kat has said she's almost certain that if they get the right conditions, and it certainly seems as though she's had pretty good weather so far today in Athens at 39 degrees, the 3 of them can clear successfully between them 100 times. That's what they're hoping for. In terms of the competition and the win today, if 2 athletes, or 3, are tied on the same number of clearances, we then go to failures. If they're also tied on failures, there will be no hint of a vault off. It will be declared a draw. And just one final piece of housekeeping. It's only failures that count. Aborted run-ups, don't worry about those. They can go back to the start and have another go. That's it. Wherever you're watching, if it's Twitter, if you're watching on YouTube, send us a message. It's at World Athletics. Put the hashtag Ultimate Garden Clash and we'll read out as many of your messages as possible. Remember, 2 weeks ago, we had more than 90 nationalities tuning in to watch. We are just about poised and ready to go. Alysha, I barely need to ask if you're poised and ready. Little thumbs up if you can hear me and you're good to go. The same to Katerina Nageotte, the reigning US indoor champion. Katie, are you ready? And Kat Stefanidi, the reigning European and Olympic champion. I think she's ready. I can see the poll on the runway. I'm going to take that as a visual thumbs up. Okay, and Matt, the producer, I'm going to begin the countdown in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It is showtime. So here we go. As many successful clearances as possible in 15 minutes. Katerina Nageotte's PB, 482, tied 13th on the all-time list with Alysha Newman. Kat Stefanidi, well, she's been around for such a long time. World Youth Champion in 2005. 6th on the all-time list with 490, 4 times a Diamond League winner. Arguably the greatest Greek athlete in history. Alex Seftel has sent us a message. I'm not sure whether it's on Twitter or YouTube. It says, I love the fact that the virtual competition adds the extra element of different weather conditions. If you're watching bottom left, that's Alysha Newman. It's pretty cool in Bolton, Ontario, as opposed to top right, Kat Stefanidi. Temperatures have been up at 39 degrees. Katerina Nageotte is bottom right. It's been around about 2022. As she competes in Marietta, Georgia, in the USA. Keep your comments and your questions coming in. The clock is running and they are aiming for 98 clearances across the 2 parts of 15 minutes with a 5-minute interval. So 3 successful clearances for Kat. And by the way, we've got 3 people monitoring the successful clearances and adding to our graphic, but you may notice ever such a slight time delay between the successful clearances appearing in the 3 little boxes and their totals being added to our graphics. It's just part of the idiosyncrasies of the fact that we have 3 different women vaulting on 3 different home tracks, all strictly adhering, by the way, to their respective lockdown rules. That's why we are no longer in the back gardens. We're full screen now with Kat Stefanidi. 4 clearances for Kat. Katerina Nageotte just taking her time here. And remember, Sam Kendricks fell a little bit behind, but that was because he was taking 14 or 15 steps every time he came down the vault runway in his back garden. Now that doesn't count as a failure for Alysha. She has the opportunity to regather. So good to see these 3 world-class women competing once again. Christy on Twitter, I'm cheering for Katie. So much fun. Thank you to World Athletics and the ladies for doing this. Kat Stefanidi, the reigning Olympic champion, up to 5 clearances. Katie Nageotte running in with real aggression in that bottom right-hand screen. Looks like she's gone up to 4. As I said, it might take just a little while for those totals to be added to our graphic. And we will have an opportunity to hear from them at the halfway stage. Great announcements that the Diamond League will hopefully resume, touch wood, for the second half of the season. We'll be really looking forward to that one. And you now get to see Alysha. She has to put that bar back herself before she resumes vaulting. The Commonwealth champion got a bronze in Glasgow in the lashing rain. Hard to believe that was now 6 years ago. All 3 of them have been around for a long time now. Alysha Newman, a lot of experience, World Youth and World Juniors. Katie has got those 2 US indoor titles. She won 10 competitions in all last year, including Prague, Lausanne, and that US indoor title. And there is Katie. Oh, miles over, but you'd expect that. Remember, she first cleared 4 meters in Findlay, Ohio, back in 2011. Alysha's first clearance over the magical marker was the 19th of May 2012. And Kat Stefanidi's first 4-meter jump, a vault, was the 9th of May 2004 in Athens, just a few months ahead of watching the Olympic Games. Renaud is getting involved with the banter. He's just sent a WhatsApp saying, I see that everyone's getting some help, just like Mondo and Sam did, to change the numbers. I was the only one to do that alone. Just a little bit of banter there from Renaud Lavillenie. And actually, I remember he was turning the board over. He had the shortest runway in his back garden. He actually injured his hand, Renaud Lavillenie, 2 weeks ago, but gamely took part and just about held on to Mondo's coattails. Mondo was definitely up for a jump off, but Renaud said absolutely no way. So just to clarify once again, as we now move into the second third of our opening 15 minutes, there will be no jump off. If we have a tie on clearances, it will go to failures. And if the failures are tied, we will go to an honourable scoring draw. Anna on Twitter, pole vaulters always find a way, whether it's in competition or in a pandemic. Sport is back, with a whole host of exclamation marks. Keep your comments coming on Twitter, on YouTube and on Facebook. Add the hashtag Ultimate Garden Clash and we will read out your messages. Remember, we had more than 90 nations tuning in 2 weeks ago for episode 1. There's Alysha, full screen. She's being assisted by Chris and Derek. Chris joined her media team a couple of years ago. Another successful clearance for Katie, closing the gap on Kat, who's top right. I think that means that Kat's moved to 9. Katie's on 7. Alysha just a little way behind. I think she's on 5. And if you are just joining us, remember, we would expect a little delay between us seeing the clearances and then being added to the official tallies. We have had some intriguing issues to solve here, one of which, it's been so hot in Greece that the mobile phone from which you're watching Kat's footage is actually encased in ice, because obviously, as most people know, if mobile phones get too hot, they stop working. Marcia Scott, this is world-class creativity as well as world-class athletics. Totally entertaining. Thank you to the governing body. I think, to be honest, we're all just relieved to be covering this great sport once again. Kat moving up to double figures. Jenny O'Connor is watching. She definitely wants a win against the boys. Remember, it was 98 for the boys. Love live pole vaulting. Well done from the O'Connor girls in Reading. And Pablo Ocampo. I'm watching from Honduras. Well, hello, Pablo. Hope this is whiling away a few hours and we've really been missing our live action. So where are we then? Kat's into double figures on 10, just having a little break. We're now into the second half of our opening 15 minutes. Katie's on 8. Alysha now. Now she will have to put that bar back up herself, the reigning Commonwealth champion. Pan American bronze behind Katie. Katie got the silver in Lima just before the Worlds last year. And there's another successful clearance for Katie. So she's reducing that deficit. She's keeping it to 2. So Katie and Kat up to 20 between them. Alysha's on 5. So 25. They're a quarter of the way to their hopeful target of 100. Robert Weil has sent us a message on YouTube. What a great way to spend Saturday afternoon. We all needed this. And apparently the producers told me that Katie is using a timer to tell her when to go. So she's obviously come up with what she thinks is the optimum amount of rest between each vault. Well, the brilliant British high jumper Morgan Lake is watching on Twitter. Saturday Sport has returned. We hope we see you back in action soon, Morgan. And by the way, World Athletics are working. We can't confirm what the next Ultimate Garden Clash will be. We've had Koji Murafushi, the Olympic and World Hammer Champion, saying, can we have a hammer competition? Well, you'd need a pretty big back garden, or you could go for the homegrown track. He wants a hammer competition. Ashton Eaton, the double Olympic champion in the decathlon, now retired. I wonder whether we could tease him back. He sent us a message a couple of weeks ago saying that he'd love to do some kind of impromptu back garden pentathlon. And I know some of the shot putters have been pretty keen to get involved as well. So as far as World Athletics are concerned, the thinking caps are on, but we just couldn't resist the opportunity, especially with so much enthusiasm from Kat Stefanidi. We couldn't resist the opportunity to follow the world-class men with the world-class women. Alysha going for a clearance. Katie is up into double figures here. 5 minutes to go in the first half. Keep your comments coming and we'll try and grab a word or two with the women as we enter that 5-minute rest period. Alexandra on Twitter. It is fun. This we're watching 3 world-class women. Of that, there's absolutely no doubt. They're each capable of major achievements. Alexandra on Twitter. If anyone's missing live sport, tune into this now. Watching someone jump over a stick, holding a stick, is actually interesting. And although that's a bit tongue-in-cheek from Alexandra, from the perspective of being a huge fan of athletics, and I know there's so many of you out there starved of this great sport, apparently there were so many young people watching 2 weeks ago. And if you're in a house or in a garden watching on a phone, and you have a young boy or girl around you, your son or daughter, or your niece or nephew, if they're inspired by this and it's captured their imagination, get them down to their local athletics club. This is just about the most accessible sport anywhere in the world. If they like running, if they like jumping, if they like throwing, and if they like the look of this and they fancy a crack at vaulting, make a call, get down to your local club. I promise you will be welcomed in with open arms. Doesn't matter how big or small your wallet, how big or small your back garden, get down to your local club. That's one of the reasons why these women have given up their time to come and have some fun here, to remind everybody that world-class athletics is still alive and well in lockdown, and we want to inspire the next generation of participants, of champions, and of fans. As we look at Alysha there, moving up to 9. Kat is on 15. Katie on 12. Simone Ross, so excited, watching from Grenada, craving more sports events. Apparently, we're also getting photos, just on that previous message that I've just mentioned there about inspiring kids. We've been sent loads of photos, apparently. These are the producers here at World Athletics. Photos of kids in their gardens jumping over sticks. Keep them coming. It's the hashtag Ultimate Garden Clash. And by the way, Simone Ross, watching in Grenada, how good to see Karani James coming back to form and fitness after such a torrid time of illness away from the track. You've also got a couple of really useful decathletes with the likes of Lyndon Victor. So great that we've got such good runners and such good multi-eventers from Asia, and some of them are tuning in to watch this afternoon.
This one is bumped 50 seconds.
So just over 2 minutes to go. Kat's on 16, Katie on 13. They're all into double figures. This is good. Pole Vault Daily are asking the question on Twitter, is that Kat's sister on the scoreboard? Yes, it is. I actually thought it was her. Her sister Georgia. They look incredibly similar. So yes, the eagle-eyed Pole Vault Daily. Now, at the halfway stage, if you're keeping an eye on the overall tally between the three of them, the halfway stage, the men were on 47 and finished on 98. So they're going well here. Inside the last 90 seconds for Kat, Katie and Alysha. Some of them will be able to hear me. Yes, they're passing that information on that. I think that might have been Chris giving a message to Alysha. We really appreciate all your messages, just reminding ourselves of how much enthusiasm there is for the sport out there. Stefanidi's on fire here. She's on to 18 and going brilliantly. Katie is waiting for a beep to tell her when to go. Really aggressive on the in run. Oh, and Alysha's up and running there. That's good. And by the way, just to clarify once again, because it is important to remind everyone, all three of our vaulters are strictly adhering to the respective lockdown restrictions in each of their three countries. Alysha in Canada, Katie in the US, and Kat in Greece. As the restrictions have begun lifting, we have moved from the back gardens for the elite men to the home tracks, which are deserted, other than one or two helpers. And in the case of Kat Stefanidi, it's her sister Georgia.
20. 15.
Now, if you're watching here, if an attempt starts and the clock runs out, doesn't matter, it still counts. Oh, Kat's up to 19. Katie going over. Yes. So Kat leading at the moment. Katie in second. Alysha in third. Girls, we do need you to stop.
Time.
The 5-minute interval has begun. Please keep your tweets and your comments coming in. We're really, really pleased that you're all enjoying this so much. And I'm sure that must be utterly, utterly exhausting. I think you can see the little clock just to my top right-hand side there. We are sticking very strictly to this 5 minutes. We're giving them half a minute or so just to gather their breath before they come in front of the cameras. It's pretty close. Remember, the men were at 47 at the halfway stage, and Kat is convinced that they can get to 98. It's not quite back gardens, it's home tracks. Kat Stefanidi going brilliantly, very, very close to 20 successful vaults in 15 minutes.
I think I'm going too fast.
To athletics. She became a global champion back in 2005 at the World Youth level. That is how long she's been at the very top of the sport. Katie Nageotte going well. She's got a very interesting tactic of going on a specific amount of time. Apparently we've lost Katie, but we'll try and ask that question when we get back to her. And I'm hoping we'll be able to get a word or two with Alysha, who had a little bit of a wobbly start, but has picked up nicely and got into double figures.
Putting her in front of the camera now.
Matt, producer, can we grab a word or two with Kat? So, okay. Kat, that is absolutely outstanding. First question, Kat. Is that as tiring as it looks?
Yes, hello?
It's the front one.
Yes,
Kat,
that
is that as tiring as it looks?
Yes, I think it would really help if we had 10 less degrees, but I'm very happy. I wanted to get at least 18. I have an extra one for the next round now. She got 19.
Well, do you know what, Kat? You are on 47, which was exactly the total that the men had at the halfway stage of their competition 2 weeks ago. So 98 is within touching distance. You could do this.
All right. Yes.
Well, whilst you get your breath, we're halfway through the break, so just have to relax there, Kat, as we head over to Canada and Alysha. Alysha, not to rub it in too much, Kat Stefanidi's just said it's too hot. How was that first 15 minutes for you in Ontario? You look like you enjoyed it.
That was it was fun, but I made a lot of mistakes. I got a lot of tailwind here, so I got to go up full for the next round.
And you got up to 12 in the end, so you lost a little bit of momentum early on, but you made some corrections really well.
Yeah, it's I have to jump up at takeoff. I think that's the number one thing. When you get tired, I'm kind of flat, so I just got to make sure I stay tall at takeoff and then just get on top of the pole and stay right with the pole, and I can get over it. So I got to make up a lot of groundwork on the next half.
Well, keep going. I'm sure there's great drama still to come. Katie, you're jumping at very precise times. So have you worked out an optimum amount of rest? What's the story?
I'm just trying to stay on the minute. I know how my body works, and if I go too much too soon, I die and I can't come back from it. So it was just stay really consistent on the time in the first half, and then in the second half, just go for broke.
I think 16.
And just finally, Katie, before we give you an opportunity to... Oh, she's gone. I was going to tell her...
Well, no, sorry, what? We only have a minute left, so I just wanted to get back on the runway.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you really quickly, are you enjoying competing as much as we're enjoying watching?
Yes, I know Kat said she's hot there, but this is probably 85 degrees straight humidity with the sun beating down, so it's hot. It's really fun, but I'm dying.
Okay. Well, that just gives you an indication as to how hard these three world-class pole vaulters are working. We've really enjoyed all the messages that you've sent us on YouTube and Twitter. It's at World Athletics. And remember, if you put the hashtag Ultimate Garden Clash, we will get those messages straight to our teams. And even I'm watching in Gloucestershire. We've got people working on this in Monaco, in France. We're all working at home in isolation, but hopefully bringing a little bit of live sport into your living rooms, onto your laptops. How refreshing that we are back. And it's courtesy of three of the finest female pole vaulters we have ever seen. And they're back in action now for the second half.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And they're already...
We'll leave it.
47, remember, at the halfway stage. That was the same as the men. Another message coming in to my iPad here from our great team working behind the scenes. USA, Colombia, Italy, Barbados, Canada, Greece, Israel, South Africa, Puerto Rico, Cyprus, Grenada, Mexico, the United Arab Emirates, Honduras. Just a smattering of the countries and the people tuning in live for this unique challenge. And there's no doubt this is absolutely exhausting for these women. It's a totally different way for them to compete. They have so much time usually to recover between vaults when they're competing on the Diamond League and at the major championships, but this is absolutely non-stop. Renault was a spent force after his 36 clearances 2 weeks ago. Mondo was desperate for a jump off. Ashton Eaton's on Twitter again. We've got to come up with a competition for Ashton. I reckon he's itching to come out of retirement. The women are cruising, he says. Kat Stefanidi is crushing this. Robin Brayley is saying on Twitter, Kat is on target to beat the boys if she can keep this up. We're watching Kat Stefanidi in Athens. And just if you're wondering, I know quite a few people follow the sport so closely. We've lost Alysha's feed, but we'll try and get that back very soon. You would expect a couple of gremlins when we're trying to bring you 3 different venues on 2 continents, all from the wonder of mobile phones. Kat has actually chosen to stay in Athens. She was planning on going home from her base in the United States with her husband, Mitch, who, by the way, is not too shabby with a pole. He's a 5:05 man. She was over to take part in the torch relay. She was the last person to hold the Olympic torch before it headed off on what should have been its journey around Japan, and then decided, as lockdown struck, that she would stay at home with her family back in Greece and use her training facilities in Athens rather than going back over to the United States. So that's why
30 seconds in.
She is at home in Greece. rather than with her husband in the United States. And the World Athletics president has said, "This is so good. I'm really proud of our athletes. I'm proud of our sports. It beats German football." No comment from this end about the Bundesliga.
10.
So, Kat now on 23. Katie, bottom right. She's been saying she's been going bang on the minute to try and give herself the best opportunity as possible. Alysha on 14 clearances at the moment. And in fact, this is an interesting one. There's another one. Katie closing in on 20. She goes so well indoors, twice the US indoor champion. Oh, John McLaren. I do beg your pardon, John. I didn't hear you mention Australia. We're watching from down under too, mate. Don't forget about us. Great stuff. Oh, you've got some brilliant pole vaulters over the years. Great characters. What about Steve Hooker? He entertained so many people for so many years with his haircut as well as his vaulting. So Kat Stefanidi, the reigning Olympic and European champion. She's vaulting top right. Katie Nageotte will be vaulting bottom right. She's a Pan American Games silver medalist from Lima from, I think it was August or the very early stages of September. I think it was August last year. Twice a US indoor champion. She won the Lausanne Diamond League last year with 482, 10 competition wins in all. And Alysha Newman will be vaulting bottom left. She's the reigning Commonwealth champion, having got a bronze in Glasgow 4 years earlier. And she got the bronze in the Pan Am Games in Lima, just behind Katie Nageotte. So 3 brilliant vaulters going toe-to-toe here. It's possible. Katie's screen just needed a little bit of refreshing. And in fact, although it's not quite as hot in Findlay, Ohio, in Georgia, USA, it is still pretty warm. And she too has had to put some ice around her mobile phone to keep it working. So we wonder whether the temperature might be playing a part. Not quite so hot for Alysha Newman. That's why today's Ultimate Garden Clash is a little bit later than our first edition, because we had to try and allow an extra hour of morning to pass in Canada so that it wasn't quite as cold for Alysha. Ronnie Radig on Twitter, really enjoying the second half of the Ultimate Garden Clash. This is incredible. Well, it's brilliant that these 3 have decided to entertain us all. Inside the last 10 minutes, I'm not sure how many of the coaches can hear this, but just pass that information on to the 3 athletes, if you would.
Pass into the last 10 minutes.
60 collectively. Can they get up to 98? Even if they can't, this is an absolutely superb effort from these 3. A completely different way of competing to that which they would be used to on the Diamond League, in the Europeans, the Commonwealths, or the Games. Greetings from the FBK Games announcer. Big thumbs up from him. He's enjoying the coverage. Oh, a little bit of a wobble but from Alysha, but she's successfully clear. Katie also over.
Keep it up.
Keep it up, say the coaches. With Katie Nageotte, by the way, we're watching Kat Stefanidi, the reigning Olympic champion, and racking them up. She's just absolutely metronomic. That's her sister Georgia helping out. Katie Nageotte has Brad Walker in her corner, former US record holder, world champion in Osaka in those brutal conditions of Japan. Hard to believe that was 13 years ago. That was a fantastic championship. I'll never forget the men's marathon. I just don't know how they got round the course. It was absolutely baking. And it was pretty warm for the pole vault. So Katie, assisted by Brad and her boyfriend Hugo, who's a rowing coach over in the United States. Alysha Newman. Ooh, now that's fine. That doesn't count as a failure. She's ably assisted by Derek. And her second assistant at her home track is Chris, who joined her media team 2 years ago. Coming up to the halfway stage of part 2 for our 3 world-class pole vaulters. Kat Stefanidi still has a winning lead at the moment, but Katerina Nageotte is not too far behind her. Alysha just edging her way towards 20 clearances. Judith Gooding on Twitter. We've really been missing athletics. Judith, we feel your pain. What a great idea. Hope we'll get other disciplines. We are watching from Swansea. Well, Judith, so too is the president of World Athletics, who has sent a little tweet out. So I wonder what we might get next, whether it'll be hammer, shot put, pentathlon.
Nope.
One thing's for certain. The powers that be behind the scenes in Monaco and all around the world on their laptops and their iPhones and their Zoom conversations, they are doing their level best to ensure that we will have another Ultimate Garden Clash before the end of May. So boiling hot conditions for Kat Stefanidi, top right. Not just European champion once, but twice. A couple of world indoor bronze medals as well. World youth title 15 years ago. And an interesting statistic that floated my way from the brilliant Mark Butler. Many of you, if we've got athletes watching, I would bet more than a penny or two that you would have been interviewed by Mark Butler at various times in the past. Mark said he got a great quote from Kat Stefanidi at the London Diamond League last year, when she says she has a fear of heights, but not when vaulting, because only when she's vaulting, she says she's fully in control, and it happens so quickly, I don't have time to worry about the height. So an interesting little insight, and thank you to Mark Butler for sending that one on yesterday. Kat almost up to 30, and remember, Renaud Lavillenie and Mondo Duplantis were both tied on 36 2 weeks ago.
6 minutes.
They're being roared on here. 5.5 minutes to go. Oh, this is brilliant. We've got a message here. This just absolutely clarifies that Kat is not making it up about the heat. We've got a tweet in from somebody in Athens saying, I'm watching with 39-degree heat. I'm finding it exhausting simply to wiggle my right toe. Utmost respect for Kat Stefanidi, vaulting relentlessly over 4 meters, seemingly without any kind of a break whatsoever. 5 minutes to go. I reckon she's going to beat Renaud and Mondo. I'd love to get another message on from the 2012 Olympic champion, Renaud Lavillenie, just to see what he makes of it. If Kat or any of the other two manage to get over 36. Oh, Ashton Eaton's come back on again here. Thank you, Ashton, for playing your part. Next obvious event, surely, is a jump-off between the winner of the men's and the women's. Interesting. I quite like that. It's punchy.
Freeway for 30 minutes.
Apparently, Renaud has also made that suggestion. So that's the call. Kat's got 5 to go to tie Renaud, both Olympic champions. Moss absolutely itching for a jump-off a fortnight ago. He really was. Katie going well. She's up to 26. That was the total that Sam Kendricks reached. Sam Kendricks, the two-time world champion, successfully defended his crown in fine style in Doha last autumn, and one of the most generous-spirited athletes you could ever wish to see. He's so supportive of his rivals when they're going well.
Nice. Let's go.
Back with Katie. Nice. Now, come on, keep those messages coming. We've only got 3.5 minutes to go. They've got to close in on 98 successful clearances. Kat is just beginning to run out of time a little bit. She's got to put that bar back on herself. Oh, we got a message from Stacey Dragila, the inaugural world and Olympic champion. Go Katie and Alysha, represent chicks on sticks. Those are her words, not mine. Stacey Dragila, one of the pioneers of female pole vaulting, and Kat's come unstuck here on a technicality. She was going brilliantly on 31, and Katie Nageotte could close the gap here. Well, this is hugely disappointing from her perspective.
Nice. Let's go. 2 more.
By the way, whilst we are watching this, the history of women's pole vault is so fascinating. Stacey Dragila said, after winning the inaugural Olympic title in Sydney, she said, "We are very exciting. Back when I started, meet directors didn't want us. They thought we were boring. Now there's hot chicks out there clearing 15 feet. Now they want us." That was one of her quotes after winning the inaugural Olympic title in Sydney. So, Stacey, I'm sure you'd be proud of what these 3 female athletes are doing and how well the event has evolved since you were one of the pioneers 2 decades ago. Right, back onto the competition. Now, Kat's really got to go here. That was an unfortunate scenario. We're on Alysha here. She's moving up into the 20s. Kat was on 31. She was going so well. It looked as though she was absolutely nailed on to tie Renaud and Mondo. She's up to 32, but she's only got 90 seconds to go. Andreas has got in touch and said, "Excellent idea. Thanks for holding the competition. Greetings from Mexico. Yet another great nation watching."
30 seconds. Just over a minute. Let's go. 1 more.
75 seconds to go. Just outside a minute. Surely Kat can't get up to 36, can she? Just to clarify, if it gets really tight towards the end, if they have started their run-up, it counts. So even if they start running up with 1 second left on the clock, it will count. Kat's up to 33.
Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, you can. You got time. You got time.
Katie on 29. It's been a superb effort from all 3. It really has. We, watching this, surely cannot have any idea about how tiring this must be. Only Mondo, Renaud and Sam Kendricks could surely appreciate the extent of the lactic acid. Oh, that's a great clearance from Alysha, bottom left. Katie Nageotte, bottom right.
One more.
Oh, this is good.
Okay, you got 30 seconds. It's time for 1 more.
Let's go.
Time for 1 more.
Kat waiting to see whether she can get another one in.
Straight back, straight back. Let's go.
Let's go. 1 more.
This is a 21, lucky number.
Muscle memory.
I think that's time.
34 clearances. Stefanidi. She's heading over towards the camera. But for that failure and the little bit of time she lost, putting the bar back up to 4 meters, she may well have matched or exceeded Renaud and Mondo's tally of 36. Kat, that was a sensational effort. Just whilst you take the banana on board, that was a brilliant attempt to match and beat Renaud and Mondo. That was class.
My arms were so tired at the end. The bar kept falling and put it out. Well, I'd rather do 90 seconds.
Well, whilst Kat just takes a breather, here is your virtual podium for the 2nd edition of the Ultimate Garden Clash.
On your neck.
I hit 30?
34, 30, and 21.
So Kat get 30.
I missed so many times.
You killed it.
Well, let's get straight back out to Athens and see if we can get more than a word or two with Kat Stefanidi, who has taken the individual win there. And she was so close to beating the tally of Renaud and Mondo. Kat, just that failure towards the end cost you, didn't it? That was a brilliant effort.
Yeah, I think I could have pushed it if I put the bar up faster on that one. I could have pushed it 2 more, but then I realized there was no way.
Audio will go out.
I don't know
And
if you can
Katie,
hear me, Rob.
Yes, I've got you. And it was 85 in total, Kat. A fantastic effort. Not quite the 98, but it doesn't matter. You've entertained people. And as I hope all of you can hear me now, we have had messages from all over the world with people being inspired and entertained by this great competition that you've laid on. So I know this is really weird from your perspective because each of the three of you are at a track with barely two other people in sight, but you've enthralled people around the world and you've reminded us why this is such a great sport and why pole vault is such a great event. Katie, if you can just about get your breath back, did you enjoy that? You look like you did.
I did up until probably the second half of the second half. It's just this, I swear, the humidity plus it was, so I would say it's pretty comparable to the heat that Kat is dealing with because I just have the sun straight over my head, but it's about as fun as I can have in an endurance competition. Let's put it that way.
And I think endurance is the right word. Certainly, when Renaud finished 2 weeks ago, he was dead on his feet. Is that the most tiring sort of training stroke competition that you've ever done?
Yes, I would say in the beginning of the preseason, we'll do like power, like speed endurance type workouts that I just dread. I hate them. And coming into this, I was kind of feeling that nervousness that I feel going into one of those. And it was more fun, but I would say I still felt about the same at the end of it. Like it's draining, but it's really fun to rep it out when you're tired because it gives you good practice for competitions when you're tired. So
actually
it was good training. And it was fun. Like I get to pole vault. It's a warm day. It's fun.
Okay, well, thanks very much. Just for a moment, Katie. Alysha, we lost you there for a minute, but I think we've got you back. Just getting your microphone on. I've actually got a question for you. Yes, I've got you loud and clear, Alysha. I've got a question for you from Renaud. He's been sending in loads of tweets. He's asked me to ask one of you. So the question goes to you, Alysha. How strange a sensation to feel lactic acid in pole vault. He's asking you to describe how it feels because he struggled to put it into words 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's like usually you feel calm at all times or almost at peace during the whole competition, other than when that minute starts on the countdown. Then your adrenaline just builds up and then you see someone make it. Where this, it was like my legs started getting like thicker and I could start like feeling like a lot heavier. I was getting pulled down to the ground. So it was really, really funny that you just had to keep like thinking like tall knees, tall toes, and tall at takeoff. But man, I felt like so heavy the entire second half for sure. But yeah, that was crazy. Let's just say that's the happiest third place I've ever had.
and even though you can't see Kat and you can't see Katie, did you feel your competitive instincts kicking in, even though you're on a pretty much empty track?
Well, it was so funny because when I'm practicing, I'm like, okay, this jump is for the gold medal. So when I'm sitting there like thinking, okay, Kat's at 18, I got to at least double her. So the entire time I was trying to double. But I knew the more I kept going, the more mistakes I was making. And I think I did total how many jumps with misses? I don't know, about 29 or 30. So, I mean, I'm still happy with that. That's incredible. It's a great accomplishment for me, for sure. It pushed me on to another limit.
And going back to you, Kat, having taken the individual title here in Athens, it's quite appropriate, actually, I suppose, that you're back here in the city where you first cleared 4 meters in 2004, just a couple of months before the Olympic Games in Athens. So 16 years on, you've still got it.
I can still make 4 meters, yes. I missed it a couple of times too, which is just embarrassing. I took the right number of jumps. I just missed it twice.
And here's the burning question then to you, Kat. You were really up for this, having watched Renaud and Mondo and Sam. Would you ever consider doing this again, or was once enough?
Yeah. No, I answered this to a fan. We were doing a Twitter online thing, and one of the guys asked if I would ever try this for training. And of course, this is more of a question for my coach, but because we have played around with it a little bit, we noticed that it's a great way to shut our brains off, and pole vaulters struggle with mental issues a lot, not like depression, like pole vault mental issues, like mental blocks where we won't take off the
Yes.
ground. And I think this is a great way and a great game to get you to get off the ground, because you have to shut your brain off and just make the bar. And sometimes you need to just do that in pole vault instead of thinking of too much.
Perfectly said.
Brilliantly put. And Katie, a question for you, if you can still hear me, and I hope you can.
Yes.
We've had lots of youngsters watching, boys and girls, and it's fantastic that the three of you have been such good sports to put on such a great exhibition. I think some of them will want to know, because pole vault is a little more on the unusual side of all the great disciplines that we have within athletics. What initially attracted you to pole vault? And why do you think it's such a great event that young people should go to their local clubs and try?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I was in middle school, so I was about 12 years old, and I saw the high schoolers doing it. And I was a gymnast when I was younger, so I was always attracted to very adrenaline-based upper body strength type sports. And so I knew I had to try it, and it's just fun. At the core of it, it's just so much fun. I know we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do well, and maybe in this situation, as I was getting towards the end and feeling like I was going to throw up and I couldn't really see straight, it maybe wasn't quite as fun. But it was, I mean, it's just you get to fly, and there's really nothing else that it can compare to. So I think it's well worth going out and trying, and it's just fun. It's just so much fun.
Well, you couldn't have put it any better. You've been a brilliant ambassador for pole vault. And Alysha, has this made you all, and you in particular, I guess, has this made you desperate for the second half of the season to unfold? We've got some dates released for the Diamond League, and we're all in a bit of a limbo position. But if, touch wood, we can get back to some world-class athletics where you are all in the same stadium with some crowd and on TV, has this made you even hungrier for the second half of the season to unfold?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's something like I think it's in every athlete and elite athlete. We're ready to like compete, and we want to be on the top level to better ourselves as individuals, and then keep putting our countries and people around us up on high pedestals. So at the end of the day, I think for us to all be back together after this can kind of hopefully forget about the 4 months that we've been dealing with this COVID and try to get past it in the best way possible. And that's all of us being together and continue competing and make it not conquer us. We want to conquer it. So that's what we need to keep doing, keep looking forward to the future, and hopefully we can get track and field back within the next couple months.
Yeah, we would all echo those sentiments. Well, I don't know whether any of you could hear some of the bits of commentary that I was coming out with. We've had so many messages. We've had people watching, understandably, in the United States, in Greece. But check this out. We've had people watching live in Italy, Barbados, Israel, South Africa, Puerto Rico, Cyprus, Australia, Grenada, Mexico, the United Arab Emirates, Honduras, all over the world.
Wow.
You've inspired boys and girls to want to go down to their local track. So I'd like to give you an opportunity
I knew
just to say
beforehand
goodbye.
I'd do the exact same number of jumps.
Well, look, I just wanted to give you a chance to say goodbye and thank you.
It would motivate me to do the exact same thing.
Thank you so much for everyone to tuning in. We appreciate it. It's been nothing but just energy behind us when we were doing this. It wasn't just for ourselves, it was for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and we're looking forward to the next one. Who's up next? That's on you guys.
No, next one.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah,
not for us. I meant like
shot
to
sleep all
or
weekend.
like another event. I'm gonna go have a glass of wine.
You could feel that energy though, so it definitely helped push us. I know.
Yeah.
Well, thanks to each and every one of you. It's been absolutely superb. Thanks ever so much. So we get a final wave from the three world-class athletes. They have laid on quite some exhibition for us here on their respective home tracks, and I think they have richly deserved a little glass of wine. Well, that's it. We promised you drama. I hope you've enjoyed it. We've been staggered at the number of people who've been watching from so many different countries. And I guess here's the most important point. If you're new to watching athletics, if this is the first time you've chosen to tune in, this is the most accessible, friendly sport in the world. You've just seen three fantastic ambassadors, not just for pole vault, but for our sport. If you've had a little boy or a girl, or a niece or a nephew watching this with you, or if you've got a granddaughter or a grandson who you know has been tuning in and you've been on email and telling them to watch it, get them down to their local club, because World Athletics is coming back soon and we will be here to stay. The lockdown doesn't conquer our sport, and we will be back with another Ultimate Garden Clash. We don't know what discipline is going to be chosen yet. That's for the powers that be at Monaco to sort out. But we will be back soon. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening, wherever you're watching in the world. What a show. Three of the finest female vaulters on the planet delivered. And we are back. World Athletics conquering lockdown live in your living room. Bye for now.